This man is trying to kidnap this girl. Margaret Thompson screams, her voice slicing through the cabin tension like a knife. Moments before, she'd watched a black man, Darius Cooper, approach the unaccompanied white child seated in 14B and jumped to the worst possible conclusion. If you believe everyone deserves fair treatment and that jumping to conclusions can ruin lives, then you already know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful stories of standing up against injustice. And tell us, where in the world are you watching this from? Drop your city or country in the comments. We'd love to know. Darius Cooper walks steadily down the narrow aisle of Flight 237, his heart light with anticipation. In seat 14B sits Lucy, his adopted daughter, her pale hair tucked under a tiny wool cap, her small hands clasped in her lap. He pauses behind her, breathes in relief. Margaret Thompson, mid-40s and in a sharp designer suit, sits 3 rows ahead. She notices the little girl alone and turns, concerned. Leaning forward, she asks, "Hey there, are you here all alone?" Lucy stares straight ahead, silent. Margaret swivels to the passengers behind Lucy. "Did you see who this little girl came with?" "I was asleep," one yawns. "No one saw her mom around?" Margaret presses, voice tightening. Just then, Darius reaches Lucy's seat. "It's okay now, I'm back," he says softly. He bends to hug her gently. Margaret's face darkens. She rises from 11C, arms flailing. "Excuse me. What do you think you're doing?" Darius straightens. "I'm sitting beside my daughter." Margaret sniffs. "You're her dad? Oh, please, give me a break." Darius tucks a loose curl behind Lucy's ear. "Yes. Can I just sit down, please?" Margaret thrusts a perfectly manicured finger forward. "No, you can't. You're lying about being her dad. Look how scared she is." Darius's voice remains calm. "She's only scared because you're causing a scene." Margaret scoffs. "I'm protecting this child." She presses the call button. Darius warns, "Ma'am, you're making a big mistake." Moments later, flight attendant Sarah Dixon appears. She asks, "What's going on here?" Margaret points at Darius. "This man is trying to kidnap this girl." The flight attendant steps forward, her tone firm but measured. "Sir, can I see both your tickets?" Darius Cooper glances down at his daughter Lucy, whose wide eyes are already full of fear and confusion. He gently reassures her with a soft voice. "It's all right, sweetie. I've got you." With calm hands, he reaches into his jacket pocket and hands over the 2 boarding passes. The attendant studies them for a moment, then nods. "She's with him," the flight attendant confirms, her voice steady as she turns to Margaret Thompson. "Ma'am, please step aside so he can take his seat." Margaret's eyes widen. "Wait, you actually believe him?" The flight attendant doesn't flinch. "Ma'am, please." With a dramatic scoff, Margaret finally backs off, muttering as she slides into her seat, "I can't believe you're acting like nothing shady is happening. Just look at the girl's face. She's terrified." "Sure," Darius replies simply as he takes his seat beside Lucy and buckles in. But Margaret isn't done. "Maybe the flight attendant fell for it, but I'm not buying it. I know you're lying." Darius turns to face her from across the aisle. "You really shouldn't judge people without knowing their story." "Oh, please," Margaret huffs. "I already know all I need to about you." "Really?" Darius raises an eyebrow. "How's that? I've got eyes, don't I?" Margaret snaps. "I can spot a bad guy, and you definitely are one." Darius exhales slowly, choosing to ignore her. The plane takes off, and the cabin settles into a low hum. A few moments later, Darius leans over to Lucy and speaks gently. "Hey, sweetheart, try to sleep. The flight will feel shorter. Want me to read something to you?" Lucy gives a tiny nod. Darius smiles and reaches under his seat, pulling out a small, worn book. He opens it and begins to read in a soft, calming voice. But the moment doesn't last. "Can you stop that already?" Margaret complains from across the aisle. "Some of us are trying to get some sleep. You're way too loud." "I was talking quietly," Darius says evenly. "Oh, yeah?" Margaret scoffs. "If that's true, I wouldn't be wide awake." "I was helping my daughter fall asleep," Darius responds, still keeping his voice level. "She almost did until you started shouting." "Oh, great. Now I'm the problem? How dare you?" Margaret slams her hand onto the call button. A few seconds later, the same flight attendant arrives. "Excuse me. What's the issue this time?" she asks. Margaret points directly at Darius. "He's the issue. We're trying to sleep, and he's reading out loud like it's story time." The attendant blinks. "I'm not sure what you want me to do." "I want you to make him stop reading," Margaret snaps. I was just reading to my daughter. She couldn't fall asleep, Darius explains. Oh, I wonder why, Margaret says, arms crossed. Clearly she doesn't feel safe with you, and we all know the reason. Darius's jaw clenches. What did you just say? Cut the act, Margaret sneers. Everyone here can see you're not her real dad. I don't know what you're doing with her, but she's clearly scared. Mind your business, Darius snaps. Don't you dare tell me to mind my business, Margaret hisses. The flight attendant raises her hand. Ma'am, I need you to calm down. Excuse me, are you not going to do anything about him? Margaret continues. He's causing trouble. The attendant turns to the nearby passengers. Did anyone here have a problem with his reading? A few voices murmur in unison. Nah, we're fine. The flight attendant nods. Sorry, ma'am, maybe you should try using earplugs. She walks away. Darius picks up the book again and continues reading to Lucy, who leans against his arm. Margaret glares at him, then picks up her phone. She types furiously, a smug smile spreading across her face before she sets it down again. Moments later, the plane begins its descent. The flight attendant's voice comes over the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to New Jersey. Passengers begin to rise, gathering bags and preparing to disembark, but then the voice returns. Sorry, folks. If everyone could just stay seated for a moment longer. A murmur runs through the cabin as a uniformed police officer steps aboard. He strides down the aisle, stopping in front of Darius. Darius Cooper? The officer asks. Darius frowns. Yes, officer? I need you to stand up and come with me. Darius blinks. Is something wrong? You're being held under suspicion of human trafficking. What? Darius's voice rises in disbelief. But I haven't done anything wrong. Sir, get up now. That wasn't a request. Darius turns to Lucy. It's okay. But before he can finish, the officer grabs his arm and pulls him to his feet. Lucy trembles in her seat. Hey, sir, that's my daughter. You're scaring her. Darius protests. The officer pauses, looking between the frightened white child and the black man claiming to be her father. He crouches to Lucy's level and speaks gently. Sweetheart, is this man your father? Lucy stares silent. She doesn't talk, Darius says quickly. But yes, I'm her dad. I've got proof. My ID's in my pocket. There's paperwork in my bag. The officer watches as Darius slowly retrieves the documents and hands them over. The silence in the cabin is deafening as the officer reads. After a moment, the officer straightens. Looks like we've made a mistake. Sorry about that, sir. He hands the papers back. Margaret's face twists in fury. What? No, don't let him go. Arrest him now. The officer turns calmly. Ma'am, please, that won't be necessary. Don't ma'am me, Margaret snaps. Can't you see something's not right? That poor girl won't even say a word. She's obviously terrified of him. You need to take this seriously. Darius, still shaken, stares at her. You called the cops? Margaret lifts her chin. Of course I did. I wasn't about to ignore what looked like a child in danger. You've got to be kidding me, Darius says, disbelief all over his face. You don't know a single thing about me or my daughter. I shouldn't have to explain anything to you, but maybe if I do, you'll finally back off. He draws a breath and begins. It happened about 6 months ago. I was on my lunch break when I saw Lucy alone. She looked lost, and I was concerned. I followed at a distance to make sure she was okay, and that's when I found out she was looking after her mother, who was very ill. By the time I arrived, it was too late. Her mother had already passed. The cabin is utterly still. I called emergency services. They told me Lucy would be placed in foster care, and I just knew she'd already lost everything. I couldn't let her go through that system alone, so I made a choice. I adopted her. Darius looks at Lucy as he continues. I knew it wouldn't be easy. Lucy doesn't speak. Maybe from the trauma, or maybe she never has. I wasn't sure if she even wanted me to take her in, but she let me know, in her own way, that she trusted me. Since that day, I've never looked back. I never planned to be a parent, but adopting her was the best thing I've ever done. A warm hush washes over the cabin as the words settle. Darius turns back to Margaret. So please, stop harassing us. This girl has suffered enough. Margaret's face crumbles, her voice shaking. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I truly didn't know. You're absolutely right. I had no place to judge you. I'm sorry. And then, just as the moment hangs in the air, Lucy speaks. I love my daddy. He's my hero. Darius gasps, tears filling his eyes as he wraps his arms around her. You spoke. You actually spoke. If you believe love speaks louder than hate, and that no child should be scared into silence, then go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful stories just like this.